Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Lanning and I'm so excited to welcome you back to Writer's Workshop. So writers, today I have a challenge for you. We are so close to publishing and celebrating and sharing our stories with the world, sharing our opinions, sharing our reviews of things. So we know at the beginning of this unit, we looked at a writing checklist. In fact, at the beginning of every unit and throughout all the writing units, we have been looking at writing checklists. And we know those writing checklists were made by teachers across the entire United States, and they help tell us what opinion writers need to know how to do by the end of first grade. I know, friends, it may not be the end of the year, but there still are so many items on the checklist that you are already doing as authors because you are almost ready for the next grade. Isn't that crazy? It may only be February, but I'm going to challenge you to find each thing in your reviews that strong writers do when they're writing opinions. And I want to teach you a secret about how grown-ups use checklists when they are checking to make sure that they did all that they can to make their writing the strongest it can be. A checklist helps us stay on task. Maybe you've seen your grown-up at the grocery store have a checklist and they check off all the items that they needed because they can't always keep it straight in their head, right? Well, it's the same thing for authors. We have a writer's checklist that we use to remind ourselves of all the things that we want to do in our writing. So boys and girls, today I want to teach you that when you write as a writer, you want to use a checklist to make sure that you've made your writing as strong as it can be. You won't just find one place where you did what's on the list, but you will check each and every part of your writing. Writers use checklists to check their whole writing. Not just the first page, not just the last page. You look at the checklist and you look through your whole writing. Sometimes even grown-ups have trouble doing this because it is detailed work and it doesn't work for every single item on the checklist. There are some items on a checklist that you need to only find one time, but other items, most of the items, are things you should be checking for and doing again and again and again on each page of your writing. For example, one of the checklist items may be to check for punctuation, those ending marks. Period, exclamation point, question mark. Now, is that something I'm only going to check for on one page? No! That's something I'd want to check through all of my writing. But for example, if something on the checklist said, wrote a beginning for your story, is that something I'm going to keep checking on every page? No, once I find the beginning, I'm good, right? I'm not going to find the beginning of my story at the end of the story. That's something I'd only find once. Watch me try this work right now. I want you to watch and notice how I choose one part of the checklist to check my writing. And I want you to notice how I'll check each page, page after page, to make sure I did that item again and again in my writing. Here I go. So first, let me look at this one. It says, I wrote my opinion or my likes and dislikes and said, why? Writing our opinion. So let me show you my writing. Let's look at the first page. I Am Invited to a Party is a story about an elephant named Gerald and his friend Piggy. In this story, they are getting ready to go to a party. But there's a big problem. They don't know what kind of party it will be, so they can't decide what to wear. What kind of party will it be? Will Gerald and Piggy figure out what to wear? You'll have to read the book to find out. Have I written my opinion yet? I haven't shared my opinion yet. Let's read the next page. I Am Invited to a Party is one of the funniest books you'll ever read. There's my opinion, right? Okay, I found it. So now I have a decision to make. I must decide if this is something on the list that I need to check for once, or if it's something that I need to make sure I did all the way through my writing. What would you do? Is this something I should do again and again and again? Or is it okay if I move on to the next part of the checklist? Keep checking or move on? That's right, I should move on. If I said my opinion, I can move on. That's an item on the checklist that I only need to find once. Now, I'm going to look at the checklist and see if I gave at least one reason why I have my opinion. So let's read that second page again. I Am Invited to a Party is one of the funniest books you'll ever read. I laugh so hard every time I read it. Mo Willems is a hilarious author, and every page of this story will make you laugh. Ooh, is that one reason? Yes. So I can give myself a check. And I did write one reason, so I can move on to the next item of the checklist. But remember, if I get to something, for example, spelled words correctly using the word wall and all that I know about spelling, is that something I'm only going to look for on one page? No, that's something I would need to look through every single page to find. Writers, when you use a checklist, it is important to not just find one place where you did something. You will want to make your piece the best it can be by checking each and every part of your writing. What I am doing as a writer is checking my whole piece. Did you see how I did that? Now you will get to try that. You will make a decision like grown-up writers would when using a checklist, making sure that their writing is as strong as it can be. So you won't just check one place where you did something from the list, but you'll check each and every part of your writing, focusing your attention on one item of the checklist and then rereading each and every part of your writing to make sure you tried it again and again. So let's try it together. Looking at your writing or thinking about your writing, if we look at the item checklist that says, I wrote an ending for my piece, is that something that we would just have to check for once? Or do we have to check it over and over throughout the entire story? That's right, we would just have to check it once. There's only one ending to our story, right? So that's something we would just check once. But like I said, if you're looking at something that says spelling or punctuation, is that something we're only going to look for once on one page or one sentence? No, that's something we look and check for throughout our entire writing. We make sure that we pay attention to those details. Writers, as you go off today and any time you're using a checklist to revise your writing, I want to remind you to not just check one part of your writing, but to check every part of your writing. That way, you can make plans for the work that you will need to do to revise, finding more places to do even more to convince your readers. This will make your writing as strong as it can be. Remember, tomorrow or the next time we meet, we will have a celebration. We will be giving book talks to our readers. Just like singers and dancers have rehearsals before a big show, readers can rehearse their stories by practicing telling them out loud. They make sure they read their pieces clearly and pay close attention to punctuation marks to change their voices in special ways. So boys and girls, today, you are looking through a story that you already wrote, looking at the writing checklist to make your writing as strong as it can be, looking at all of your writing, rereading each part again. And then you're going to practice reading it in a strong, clear voice so you're ready for our celebration next time we meet. It's your turn, friends. Writers go write.